out of the White House, I think Donald Trump really enjoys these pronouncements that he makes. You know, he likes to. The Gulf of America was one. The tariffs, the announcement of the tariffs, a big thing. You know, how he's changing the map. He talks about, annexing Canada. These are the things that, I mean, I think it's lunacy, it's insanely dangerous and dark. But what I'm talking about is this urge he has to be the center of attention and pursue this kind of reality TV show agenda. And you see these things, if you see them in a reality TV show way, as very much fitting in to the kind of drama that he maintained with producers, of course, on his show, The Apprentice. I wonder if you can just put this in some context for me.
Look, Mark, this president is violating every constitutional principle. You can talk all of the things that you've just said, absolutely true. But this is a man who has just abolished, essentially, the Department of Education, which was established in 1979 by the Congress of the United States and approved by the President of the United States at the time, Jimmy Carter. He is acting unconstitutionally. And the problem is, and you hit the nail on the head with the Republicans, they have no guts. They're not going to take him on as long as he is an apparent winner and as long as he bullies people. Look what he did on this continuing resolution. He said, you don't support me, I'll primary you. This is, I must tell you, Mark, beyond my comprehension. It is a direct attack on democracy. And the American people had better wake up fast, or we are going to have serious problems. As for Elon Musk and his hawking cars on the White House lawn, I was so appalled I can't even begin to tell you. And then the announcement the same day of $100 million contribution to Trump's political operation. It is, to me, corruption at its highest, and he needs to be called on it. I worked for Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon is a saint compared to this guy. And I'm disgusted by it. Let me also say to you, the Russians have still not responded on the Ukraine deal. But what are they doing? They're pummeling Kiev with missiles. And frankly, I wouldn't believe Vladimir Putin on anything. So this, to me, it's beyond the realm of my political skill, except to say that what Donald Trump has done is not only an impeachable offense, it's a violation of the Constitution. And you're going to ask me about the Republicans. The Republicans are not going to cross him until he sinks in the polls. Now, the latest poll this morning showed 45% approval rating, 55% disapproval rating. But Donald Trump doesn't care. Do you understand? He can't run for re-election. There's no accountability. And he is going to pursue his path as he sees fit. And every American should be scared out of their wits. You know the book by Philip Roth, The Plot Against America? Well, Donald Trump's plot is against America.
So
have I made myself clear, Mark?
You have, and you said a couple of things, and I want to just underscore one of them anyway, and that is the $100 million. Musk realizes that, he owns this guy and really owns the country. I mean, you have this single-handed misfit when it comes to government. He has known nothing about governance. He's not been involved with public service in any way, and he's dismantling the American institutions that
he's going after Social Security.
Right.
He's going after Medicare. He's going after Medicaid. The American,
So the $100 million, though, but the $100 million is sort of like the cost of staying in the game.
It's a bribe.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
He's going to stay in the game no matter what. No matter how much money he loses on his Tesla stock, the man is still the richest man in the world. And Donald Trump is enthralled with that. No. This is a crime that should be investigated. And because we have Republican passivity, when this is over, the Republican Party will suffer at the polls, I believe. It'll make Herbert Hoover's depression look like child's play.
Well, this is really interesting that you mentioned Hoover, and I'll get to that in a second. But, John, he hasn't done anything illegal. What do you mean I want an investigation?
No, I disagree.
That's not true. No, he can donate $100 million to Trump's political campaign. There's nothing illegal about it.
No, but you're right about that. But the ethics of it are such that it's intolerable.
Yeah. ethics left the building, a while ago. Sadly,
listen, that $1 million check you just sent me, I accept it gladly as a bribe. I mean, that's what essentially is going on here. By the way, I said $1 million because Mark can't afford 100 million, but I'd take that.
Well, just because you mentioned the bribes and contributions, I'll reference the tariffs. One of the things that tariffs give you is a lot of power as president to enforce the tariff, to give tariff relief, tariff exceptions, roll back tariffs for a period. And how oftentimes is that done? It's done by the president in relation to payoffs. It opens things up to corruption and some kind of favor or rapprochement that oftentimes can be linked to financial dealings.
But you understand, tariffs were traditionally imposed by Congress, not by the president. The Smoot-Hawley tariff in 1930 was repealed in 1933. And again, the Congress should call this for what it is, an intrusion on the power of the Congress of the United States.
Well, how did he get away with this being
the Republicans?
The Republicans
are afraid of Donald Trump.
Because he declared this an emergency. He declared this economic
emergency.
National emergency, thank you. And in so doing, the power to levy these tariffs rests with him. Isn't that what happened?
Yes, and the Congress ought to stand up and say, you haven't got the right. You don't have the right. And I've yet to hear anybody argue.
Now I'll get to the Congress then, because thank you for taking us there. So this continuing resolution, Congress does have an option on from the standpoint of, well, first they have their budget, but let's go to the tariffs first. They have the option, as you've said, of saying no, it's not a national emergency, and so the power on these tariffs rests with us. Don't they have that? They have that power.
Of course. And the problem is the Republicans are so intimidated. I want you to know the Speaker of the House of Representatives is a disgrace on every level, has let down the House. I'm not going to go into history on this, but I can tell you there are House speakers who preceded this speaker who absolutely would reject any notion that the president has this kind of power. And all I can say is the only hope here is that the American people wake up and do a resounding rejection of the Republicans in 2026. And that's absolutely necessary. And that's what has to happen.
So now to the CR, this continuing resolution, the money to keep the government funded. What's happening with that? We got the House.
Now it has to go to the Senate, and the Senate Republicans, I think, will simply fold over and say yes.
Yeah, for the same reasons that we've articulated before. They're scared.
Yeah, listen, there is no more Republican Party.
Yeah.
It is the party of Donald Trump, and it's a one-man party, and they're going to defend him no matter what until their own political hides are on the line. And then maybe you'll see some courage. But this is a disgrace. Can you imagine this week that he cut off aid to Ukraine? He cut off the intelligence sharing, and now he's prepared to go ahead because Ukraine accepted his terms. Pure blackmail, by the way. Unbelievable if they would accept it, but they have no choice. And where is Vladimir Putin? Nowhere. Vladimir Putin doesn't say what he wants to do. And in the end, Trump will defend him no matter what he does. And as for Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of the United States, saying this will bring peace, is he crazy? It's so irrational, it defies logic. And if you listen to the banter between the president and the vice president today, J.T. Vance worries me even more.
The piece of video, Albert, do you have it? I sent it to you. It's Marco Rubio from 2016. So Rubio was running for president, and he was in that group of Republicans. Little Marco. He was diminished by Trump along the way. And this is a piece of video from Jake Tapper talking to Marco Rubio. And listen to what Marco Rubio says. This is 2016. This is the run-up to the 2016 election. Go ahead, Albert.
You compared Donald Trump to a third-world dictator yesterday in an interview with the New York Times. How so? Well, I don't know about a dictator. I said a third-world strongman. He's running for president, so no matter what, he won't be a dictator unless our republic completely crumbles, which I don't anticipate it will. But yeah, here's what happens in many countries around the world. You have a leader that emerges and basically says, don't put your faith in yourselves, don't put your faith in society, put your faith in me. I'm a strong leader, and I'm going to make things better all by myself. This is very typical. You see it in the third world. You see it a lot in Latin America. for decades. It's basically the argument he's making that he single-handedly is going to turn the country around. We've never been that kind of country. We have a president. The president is an American citizen who serves for a period of time, constrained by the constitutions and the powers vested in that office. The president works for the people, not the people for the president. And if you listen to the way he describes himself and what he's going to do, he's going to single-handedly do this and do that without regard for whether it's legal or not. Look, I think people are going to have to make up their mind. I can tell you this, no matter what happens in this election, for years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump, because this is not going to end well one way or the other.
I agree with Marco Rubio in 2016, 100%.
Something happened. Something happened. Marco.
You know, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Indeed.
Marco Rubio pulled the devil in Daniel Webster. He sold his soul.
Indeed. Now take
Hi,
me to
it's
the
Mark,
Senate.
and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.